Hi, and welcome back to Venture Recaps. Today I will recap the movie titled Avatar 2. The movie opens with Jake Sully narrating his peaceful life with his family on Pandora as the chief. He mentions that he and his wife Neytiri have a total of 5 children: Nedium, Loek, and Tuk, adopted daughter Kiri, and a human boy, Spider. He clarifies that Kiri is the daughter of his dear friend Grace, who died while helping the Na'vi people fight against humans. As for Spider, he was left behind when all the humans returned to Earth after losing their battle. Jake states that the children play together despite being different in color and body size and live together like a family. However, Neytiri does not like Spider because he is revealed to be the son of Colonel Miles, the man who almost wiped off the Navis Kiri. On the other hand, has a special connection with Spider and is fond of him. As the human boy has spent all of his life with the Na'vi people, he thinks that he is one of them. One night, when Neytiri and Jack are talking, they notice bright spaceships in the sky approaching them. Their habitat is torched with flames, resulting in widespread destruction. From the spaceships, a group of soldiers with robotic artillery emerge and finish off whatever else is left of the place. Neytiri and Jake are shocked to learn that it is a spaceship carrying humans, who are there to colonize Pandora again. The scene then shifts to one of the human laboratories where scientists have successfully created a Na'vi clone of the Colonel. He has been fed with the memories and data that were collected before his death. Because of this, the clone knows everything, except who killed him. Along with the Colonel, the scientists have also manufactured the clones of other soldiers who were present during the previous attack on Pandora. As a result, the Colonel and his men are hell-bent on destroying the Na'vi, and in particular, Jake Sully. Meanwhile, to ward off the intruders, Jake leads a Na'vi army toward the train supply lines. He successfully infiltrates it and manages to steal ammunition. During his operation, Loek does not listen to his orders and gets himself wounded. Jake scolds him and asks him to be disciplined the next time. On the other hand, the Colonel meets his senior, General Ardmore, who informs him about Na'vi's flying partners called Scounds. They are currently attacking their helicopters and slowing them down. Hearing this, Colonel Miles plans to invade the forest, where they battled previously, and gather some information about them. Soon he arrives at the forest along with his other companions. Unfortunately, Jake's children are also playing around in the same forest. The Colonel looks around and discovers his robotic suit with his remains still inside. All this is observed by Loek, and he immediately contacts his father. Jake suggests Loek stay away from them and leave the place quietly. He and Neytiri fly towards the forest to check on their children, but Loek and his siblings are captured by the humans. The Colonel realizes that they are children of Jake when he inspects their fingers. However, Neytiri and Jake arrive and rescue everyone except for Spider, who is taken away. Later, the Colonel discovers that Spider is his son when he asks for his name. Worried about the humans discovering their location, Jake suggests to Neytiri that they leave Amaticaya and head towards the eastern seaboard. Meanwhile, General Ardmore tortures Spider to extract information but fails as the boy remains loyal to his Na'vi parents. The Colonel intervenes and promises to take Spider back to Earth, which warms up the boy's heart, and he agrees to provide the information. Jake and his family leave their native home and fly away. After flying for a few days, they finally arrive at a place called Metgaina. Surprisingly, the Navis living here are faint in color, and they prefer to stay in the water. Seeing Jake and his family, they start making fun of their appearance. Soon, the head of the tribe, Tanawari, arrives there with his wife. He feels skeptical about Jake and his family, and mentions that they are not suited to survive in the water. However, Jake promises that they will adapt to the place in no time. Hearing this, Tanawari finally agrees to let them stay and shelters them. He also asks his children to teach Jake's children how to swim and use their special creatures to move around the water. Tanawari's children take their new friends to the ocean and start showing them the basics. Meanwhile, Loek tries to connect with a sea creature, but loses control and falls into the water. Seeing him, the children start laughing. As all this is happening, Kiri can be seen deep inside the ocean. Surprisingly, she has adapted well to the place and can even control some sea creatures. The following day, while Kiri is meditating underwater, when Aang and his friends approach her and start making fun of her. Because of this, Loek punches Aang. Later, when Jake finds out about this, he orders his son to go and apologize to Aang as he is the clan leader's son. Reluctantly, Loek agrees and says sorry. Although Aang forgives him in front of others, deep down he is still angry. To teach Loek a lesson, he takes him out to the open waters. A while later, when Loek is fishing, a large predator swims at him rapidly. Loek looks around for help but fails to find anyone. But just then, a humongous creature named Payakan comes to the rescue. Here we get to know that Payakan is a Tulkun, a peaceful and intelligent creature. Loek is rescued and brought to the surface by Payakan. The latter also helps the creature by pulling out some harpoons which were hurting it. With this, the two create a beautiful bond. Later, Loak is called up by Tonaware, who wants Onum to apologize to Loak. However, the selfless Loak accepts responsibility for his actions and lies that Aang had nothing to do with it. This finally makes Aang understand that the new Navis are not bad after all. After some time, Loak reunites with his brother and friends and explains how Payakan saved his life. To his surprise, no one believes him. Instead, they reveal that Payakan is a killer, and that's why it is abandoned by the other Tulkuns. On the other hand, Spider briefs the Colonel about some Navi culture and takes him to a mountain to select a scout for him. At first, the Colonel struggles, but soon he gets the hang of it and flies it around. Shortly after, he also gets information about Jake's possible location and heads towards the Metcaina Reef with his army. On arriving, he confronts some water Navis and inquires if they know Jake. When the Navis say no, they kill one of them and burn their houses. Despite this, the Navis stand by their statement. Left with no options, the Colonel signals his team to go for Plan B, which is to kill the Tulkuns. The Tulkuns have a precious liquid inside their brains which can increase longevity. On Earth, a single liter of this liquid sells for millions of dollars. Soon, the hunters start chasing after the sea monsters. They strike numerous trackers in them and render them unconscious. The humans eventually leave with the trackers still inside the Tulkuns. When the Metcaina discover this, they become angry and decide to engage with the attackers. However, Jake calms them down and mentions that they need to inform the Tulkuns about the trackers first. This is the only way they can prevent a future strike. Loak leaves to inform his best friend, Payakan, about it. Onum and a few others also join him. After a while, they meet Payakan and prepare to pull the tracker out of him. But just then, the Colonel and his hunting crew arrive on their whale ship. After seeing them, Loak connects to his father and informs him about the situation. In the nick of time, he and his friends also manage to pull the tracker out from Payakan's body. After this, they hide underwater, while the Colonel's crew starts looking for them. Meanwhile, Jake approaches Tonawari and informs him that their children are missing. So he quickly orders his people to prepare for war. Jake and Neytiri also grab their weapons, and soon all of them head toward the battlefield. On the other hand, the Colonel orders his crew to launch their attack on the Tulkuns and find Jake's children. After searching for a while, they eventually find Kiri and Tuck and capture them. Loak tries his best to tear the net, but gets himself pulled to the whale ship with it. The Colonel cuffs them to the railing of the ship. He then takes Loak's transmitter and asks Jake to surrender for the safety of his children. Having no options, Jake agrees to his conditions. At the same time, Payakan notices Loak handcuffed to the deck and decides to save him. In a risky move, he jumps onto the deck and starts moving its massive fins, throwing away soldiers and obliterating the ship. Taking advantage of this, Jake launches his attack on the Colonel. Meanwhile, Spider breaks the controller of the whale ship, causing it to strike the rocks and allow water to fill inside it. Next, Jake and his eldest son, Netiem, climb the deck and free the kids. They then order the children to return to safety, but Loak refuses. Instead, he decides to save his adopted brother Spider. Netiem also joins him, and after a bit of searching, they find Spider. When they are about to leave the ship, the Colonel opens fire. Unfortunately, Netiem gets hit and is severely injured. Loak and Spider immediately take him to the shore, but because of excessive blood loss, he passes away. Seeing her son die right in front of her eyes, Neytiri starts crying. Meanwhile, the Colonel manages to capture Kiri and Tuck. He later connects with Jake and reveals that both his two daughters are with him. After getting this information, Jake calms Neytiri down and persuades her to join him and save their daughters. Soon, Jake approaches the ship and causes an explosion, killing the Colonel's men. Neytiri also arrives there and starts shooting arrows. Meanwhile, Jake finds Tuck and frees her, but at the same time, the Colonel shows up, holding Kiri at knife point. He threatens Jake to put down his weapons, and the latter reluctantly does so. In the meantime, Neytiri captures Spider and threatens to kill him. At first, the Colonel mentions that he has no relation with Spider, but when Neytiri makes a small cut, he immediately leaves Kiri. With this, Neytiri and her family prepare to leave, but the Colonel mentions that he will again hunt Jake down. Jake realizes that he needs to eliminate the Colonel to live a peaceful life. Hence, he returns to the battlefield. This time, the arch-rivals fight each other in an old-fashioned fistfight. It is a brutal one, and the two match each other stride for stride. But in the end, Jake manages to wrap his arms around the Colonel's neck and knock him out. Jake thinks that he is dead and lets him drown in the water. Unfortunately, he too struggles to breathe and starts sinking to the bottom. But Loak comes to his rescue and brings him back to the surface. On the other hand, Spider also pulls Colonel out of the water and saves his life. But when the Colonel asks him to leave the place with him, he refuses and returns to his adoptive family. In the last scene, Jake's family buries Netiem's body at the bottom of the ocean, where it embraces him like their own. The movie ends with Jake remembering his best memories of his elder son and realizing that he is in heaven with their gods. Thank you for watching the Adventure Recaps video. Feel free to like and share the video. Hit the subscribe button for more.